Retro.
Are you an aspiring Jedi, or do you dabble with the dark side of the Force?
Regardless of whether you fancy yourself a defender of the light or an aspiring Sith Lord, you're going to need a lightsaber.
Podcast Stardust is pleased to partner with Saber Masters, the creators of high-quality, durable, and affordable lightsabers.
Saber Masters is preparing to launch the Ultimate Lightsaber 2.0, and right now you can get 2 for the price of 1.
So, check out the link in our show notes and go get your Ultimate Lightsabers from Saber Masters.
And don't forget to use our referral code STARDUST to save $10 at checkout.
And each purchase using our referral code helps support Podcast Stardust.
Hey, this is Lauren Mary Kim, and I'm the stunt double for Ahsoka Tano in Clone Wars and the armorer in The Mandalorian. You're listening to Dennis and Jay on Podcast Stardust. This is the way.
Hello, and welcome to Podcast Stardust. This is the fully armed and operational podcast dedicated to Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. I'm Dennis Keithley.
And I'm Jay Krebs.
And it's Friday, so we're going to kick off this weekend with a look at some recent Star Wars news. Before we get into that, Jay, remind everybody where we can be found around the internet.
Absolutely, Dennis. We are conveniently found on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Podcast Stardust.
Okay, the Just is Lime. The signal's boosted to maximum output. The shield's down. We're now broadcasting to the galaxy. So we were just recently talking about the schedule for everything and how lamenting that we don't really know what's coming and when after we get Skeleton Crew in season 2 of Andor. Well, we may got a clue as to what we can expect next in the world of Disney Plus Star Wars shows when Natasha Liu Bordizzo was at Atlanta Dragon Con. She was on a panel that featured other Star Wars guests, including Giancarlo Esposito, Manny Jacinto, and Danny Trejo. And she mentioned in passing that she would be missing the next Dragon Con because next year at this time because she'll be filming season 2 of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So there we go. I guess we've got some sort of a hint. So if they do that, then I'm guessing a late 2026 release for that. What's your feeling?
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to have to be at least that because at this point, there's so many other things in the works, for Disney and Disney Plus right now. And we already know that there's other projects that have been given priorities, and some of those are going to be coming out very soon. And of course, we've got Andor on the horizon and all the things. So, yeah. So I would imagine they're going to have some sort of a schedule for that. And that makes sense. I mean, that would be where it would be in that time frame.
Yeah, it was interesting to me that it could conceivably be that early, to be honest with you, because we know they're already filming The Mandalorian and Grogu, and that's got to be taking up a ton of time for Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And I know Ahsoka is mainly Filoni's baby, but Jon Favreau is a producer on the whole thing. As part of that. And, with The Mandalorian and Grogu coming out in May of that year, I would have thought they would have kind of lived off that high for a little bit because technically we're supposed to be getting the new Jedi Order movie, the Rey movie in December 2026, but who knows if that's going to happen. We keep hearing that Daisy Ridley is expecting a script at any moment, but I don't know that she's seen one. I don't know that's been completed. I don't know that's been turned into Lucasfilm. What's happened there? Yeah. But to be frank, I'm a little surprised that they think they can do the shooting that early and get it out in 2020. Well, they didn't say 2026, but that's our guess. But even get to shooting it that early with everything they have to do for Mandalorian and Grogu, because you would think at this time next year they're possibly doing reshoots for The Mandalorian and Grogu. And
yeah,
Dave's probably going to be involved in whatever special effects and post-production with Jon Favreau on that. So I don't know. Chief creative officer, he's got his hands full for certain.
He does, for sure, and I guess my thought is that, I know that Ahsoka used the volume for a lot of things, and I'm sure that Mando and Grogu will too.
Mhm.
But, as we've seen, it's a much more efficient and cost-effective way of doing things, because we learned that from the Acolyte, just how expensive it was to go on location. So maybe there is enough of a kind of an expeditious sort of a procedure that can allow it to at least start shooting, next year. Not necessarily that it'll be out next year, but when I say next year, I'm thinking 2026 because
Right.
we're already approaching the latter part of 2024, which is crazy to think about. But
I know. I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing that occurs to me on this is that, start getting Skeleton Crew, what are we, December 3rd, I believe is when it airs.
Hmm.
And it sounds like Andor is coming in the first part of 2025.
Hmm.
So we're going to go like a year without any live action Star Wars content.
Hmm. Yeah, and maybe
After,
they'll push this along. You know what I mean? Who knows?
well, yeah, I mean, that'll, yeah, because Andor, if it comes out, say, April of 2025, and then we get Mandalorian Grogu in May 2026, there's a year.
Hmm.
And that's just and what? I'm not sure that that's necessarily a bad thing.
Hmm.
You and I love more as much as Star Wars content, and we'll devour all of it that we can get. But there, it might drive up the appetite for the Star Wars movie and whatever's coming next. So if they have that long a break,
Mhm. No, that's a great point, and I think you're absolutely right in that as well. And there's so many rumors out there, in the rumor mill as far as ooh, what's going to come next. And I
hmm
mean, there's even been hinted at a new animated series because of that one job posting that was
right?
listed on
Yeah,
Disney Careers, and everyone's like, "Oh, is this going to be a new Star Wars animated show?" So, I mean, we love Star Wars, as you said. I mean, it's our cup runneth over, and we're willing to add more. But
sure.
I can see that appetite, for something new
I
as
kind of feel
well.
like if there isn't already a Star Wars animated show in production, then we're not going to be getting it next year
Mhm,
because even if they just go the 10 episode route, 10 to 13 episodes like they've done for Bad Batch and the like, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of effort
it
to
is.
do that there. And so I think, I don't, and if they're just now getting to it with that, that job posting you were talking about, uh, I think they'd be hard pressed to get anything out at the end of next year.
Mhm,
So we'll
mhm.
see.
Yeah. Yep, no, I agree with you.
Okay. Well, anyways, that's it's encouraging. I mean, I wanted to know when that was coming out, so I'm glad to hear that they've got something in the works or some thought of when they're going to do that, even if she maybe misspoke. But we'll find out.
Yeah, and, speaking of Dragon Con too, I've been seeing a lot of really fun stuff coming out of that, so I would highly suggest our listeners check out the Dragon Con Instagram. And, I know I follow a lot of the cosplayers that have been posting things. And then, Collider and all of those have been posting a lot of stuff that's come out of Dragon Con. So it's been a lot of fun. I mean, not just Star Wars stuff, but, just fun geekery stuff in general.
Yeah, I'll have to go check that out. I haven't really been following, but it's been a week. So anyway,
Mhm.
um, okay. Well, with the next thing we got up here is Carl Weathers has received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He was honored on August 29th. And of course, this was a posthumous honor for him because he had passed away this year on February 2nd. But those in attendance included Sylvester Stallone, LeVar Burton, and Bryce Dallas Howard. So, in addition to a boxer, a member of Starfleet, and a fellow Star Wars alum were all there for there. So, yeah, it's still kind of shocking to me that he's gone. I
Yeah, it really
literally
is.
just completed my rewatch of The Mandalorian, the third season, today before we recorded this. And, he directed at least one episode, and then he appeared in several as High Magistrate Grief Karga in there. And I don't know that you would ever suspected A, that he was as old as he was, like 76 or something like that. And then B, that he would have had any health problems that would have
Right.
risked them there.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to prove that nobody's days are guaranteed. That's for sure. And I didn't realize too. I mean, obviously, Carl Weathers has been in so many different things. I mean, you just mentioned all the things with Star Wars and with the Rocky series, and then you're talking things like Predator. But I didn't realize that he had directed other episodes besides Mandalorian. So he's done things like Hawaii Five O, Law and Order, FBI, Chicago Med. I mean, his resume is huge. But
Hmm.
I'm glad that the people that you just mentioned were there to honor him, because I know that a lot of those have been very, very near and dear to him, and especially Sylvester Stallone. I mean, when we first heard the news of Carl Weathers passing away, there was just so many touching things out there, and Sylvester Stallone was definitely among those. And it is sad that Carl Weathers didn't get to see his star, himself, from his earthly presence. But um, I see in the article here from Fantha Tracks too, was that he was actually involved in preparing to receive his star before he died. So he knew it was coming. So that's a good thing. But it is very sad that he wasn't here, on this earth with us to be able to receive it.
Yeah, at least he knew it was coming though, so that's
Right.
cool. Yeah, it's I agree with that. He's, it was something that he wanted, and he got it, and it would have been cool for him to get those accolades in person. But yeah, I don't know. I really love to have seen him in the Mandalorian Grogu movie, so I'll be curious to see what, if anything, they do to explain that character's absence going forward.
Right, right. No, I agree. I agree. And I'm just sitting here thinking, selfishly, that I'm so glad that I got a chance to meet him at Fan Expo Cleveland in 2023, it would have been. So, yeah, yeah, just glad I got that opportunity. And we've talked about that several times, that if you get the opportunity to meet one of your favorite celebrities, make sure you take it, because you just never know.
Yeah, yeah. And in fact, I was just showing via video call my Mandalorian poster to my niece, who I talked about recently got into Star Wars, and but I met Carl Weathers at Celebration Anaheim in 2022 and got him to sign it, and so it's one of the 3 autographs I have on that so far. Hoping to get
Hmm.
more, but it was
Hmm.
it was cool to meet him. He was larger than life.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, the last thing we got for the news is we talked about last week how Star Wars Outlaws has made it to consoles. And I downloaded it over the weekend, and then my son Alec got to play it for a little bit, and I played it for a little bit. Have you had a chance to see any of the gameplay or anything for that yet?
I have not. I've seen a lot of little clippies here and there on Instagram, just advertising different things and whatnot. But no, I haven't gotten a chance to sit down and watch any of it. But so tell me all about it. Tell me what your experience is so far.
Yeah, so I guess I'm maybe an hour or so into the gameplay on this, and it's fun. I like it. Some of the gameplay is reminiscent of how you control your character in Jedi Fallen Order or Survivor, which you take your pick there. Of course, there's no lightsabers in this because KVS is a smuggler, a scoundrel type, as opposed to a Jedi. And the whole thing starts off with a story scene where the leader Solaro, the leader Zarek Besh, is rounded up these various representatives, different crime cartels, and is talking about how the Death Star just blow up and this is an opportunity. But then he goes on to murder everyone that's at that table, and then kind of setting the stage for this whole galactic underworld thing. I don't want to give away too much spoilers, but that's literally the beginning of the game. So first
Hmm.
thing you see when you start one, and then you take over as K, and you are again this underworld type, and it kind of shows that you're kind of down on your luck a bit, and you're needing money, and you got a big job that you want to pull off. And if you get that, then the six Ken is the boss. Then then you're going to get the credits you need to get off world because you're on Canto Bight to start with. So as
Hmm.
you go through with that, the opening stage really doesn't exhibit any of the characteristics of what you would come to think of as an open world game, and that's of course what they promoted this as, is the first Star Wars open world type of a RPG adventure there. But it's also very much the tutorial portion of the game where they're teaching you how to send your little companion Nix, that little critter. I don't even can't remember what that's kind of critter he is, but was invented for this game, and you can have him go distract the guards. You can have him jump through a hole and then press a button on the other side of the wall, and steal things from certain NPCs and stuff like that. So you learn how to use him. You kind of learn how to sneak around, the type of things you need, cues you need to look for. I found an arcade game that I could play, and then all of this whole thing with
Oh,
KVS.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was fun. I noticed while just kind of going through the menu options that they have different limited time challenges with various rewards that you can do. So I guess Ubisoft is attempting to generate community around this and get people playing it more and more and more, because they have a season pass and they're going to be making more content available. I haven't had an opportunity to get to all that, but like I said, I got through the first stage, which really got me out of the tutorial area and to the beginning of the open world aspect of this. I got my ship and I flew it to someplace else and crashed it. So now it needs repairs. So
Oops.
yeah. But anyway, so it's off to a good start. I like it. It's not quite as how do I put this? The story behind it is not quite as engaging or pulling me in the way the story did in Jedi Fallen Order so much. And I think
Mhm.
the thing they got in common is that in Jedi Fallen Order, you're a Jedi who's trying to keep his identity secret until you kind of get dragged back into things. And so you're doing a lot of things to, you're trying to lay low at the beginning and until you're not. And then KVS, again, you're pulling off a heist and you're trying not to let everyone know who you are, I should say. And so there's that. But again, you don't kind of have the mystery of Fallen Order with all the Force stuff that's going on that here in Outlaw. And it's not to say it's bad, because like I said, you get this whole open world aspect to it, which I haven't even had an opportunity to explore yet. But so there you go. Those are my initial thoughts.
Well, that's really cool. I mean, I'm really excited for this, and I'm hoping to be able to get it sooner than later. So we'll see. I've got my next appearance for my cosplay at the Cleveland Gaming Classic. Shameless little plug there. But as soon as maybe some things calm down, maybe into October, I can pick it up. But like I said, I've been seeing some snippets here and there, and it looks really fantastic. And I know Umberly Gonzalez, she's been putting tons of stuff on there. The voice of KVS on Instagram, of some of her experiences with the voice recording, and then some stuff with Nyx. I mean, she's just really, really getting into to the character, and obviously doing so much to promote it as well. So I mean, her enthusiasm is definitely contagious. And so if for nothing else, I just really want to play it just because I just really like Umberly. So there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. The character's got some fun personality.
Hmm.
She's a bit with the Han Solo type, where she's got the quips that she pulls out every once in a while, and she kind of tries to talk her way through certain situations, and you got some options to do that, as opposed to, and that's the thing I like, is that it reminded me kind of the Spider-Man game, where you could kind of get through certain areas either in stealth or diving into combat.
Mm.
And there's some areas that you're facing overwhelming numbers, so your best bet is to try and take a few of your enemies out with some stealth, sneaking up behind them and clubbing in the back of the head with your blaster, or choking them or something like that before, and taking them down quietly before you get into a blaster fight with the rest of them there, because you can get
Mhm.
overwhelmed pretty quickly if you're not careful on that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, so yeah, it gives you options. Like I said, I'll probably report back in a couple weeks when I've had an opportunity to play a bit more of it, but I definitely want to get into some of the open world aspects, and because I just, like I said, I just mentioned that I got my ship, and I also now just got my speeder bike, so
Nice.
I'm eager to take that out. And well, the, the tutorial doesn't necessarily end at the beginning of that first stage, because you have to learn how to use the bike as well, and so there's a whole bunch of things you can do with that. So
Oh, that's really cool. And
yeah,
remind me, you guys have a PlayStation, correct?
yeah, we're playing on the
Okay.
PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I'll be playing on PC, so it'll be interesting to compare notes.
Yeah, I was also a little surprised. The download is only, in quotes, 60 gigabytes, or at least it was for the PlayStation, whereas a lot of the games that I've downloaded lately for like Baldur's Gate 3 and some others have
Uh-huh.
been well over 100. So
Right. Yes.
I was pleasantly surprised, because I hopped on to start that download last weekend, and I said, okay, wow, only 60 gigabytes. I don't have to delete that much, and I actually had more than enough free space on the hard drive for that. So
That's awesome.
yeah, but I'm not sure if that suggests that there's a limit to really on the amount of content there is, or it just really doesn't use that much resources.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember when my son downloaded Baldur's Gate 3, he was like, "This is huge." It was like 122 or something like that. It was huge. 100 between that and 150. It was really big.
Yeah, it took all night when I
Yeah.
downloaded it to play this. It took 2 hours to get Outlaws
Mhm.
downloaded, so on a
Mhm.
pretty fast Wi-Fi connection. So,
Cool.
all right. Well, again, things are slow in the world of Star Wars news, so that's what we got for you this week, and we'll be back next week with some more news to finish up the week and send you into your weekend. But with that, just want to say thank you all for joining us for this episode of Podcast Stardust. We hope you'd enjoyed our take on the news. Jay and I enjoy doing this on a weekly basis. If you haven't done so already, please consider hitting the subscribe button for the podcast so you'll get that weekly take downloaded for you automatically, as well as our other 2 episodes each week. And we've been diving into the Clone Wars and covering some other things in the recent months. While you're at it, make sure you head over to retrozapp.com, which is the home of the podcast and the RetroZap Podcast Network. And that includes other shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Case Files, Animaniacast, Brews and Blasters, Dork Lair, Dooncast, Enjoy Stuff, Love, Death and Robots Plus, Superhero Suite, and Warp Trails. And if you've got a moment, we'd greatly appreciate a rating and review on whatever podcatcher that you use that supports such things, especially if it's Apple Podcasts. And it also means a lot to us if you could share the show on social media with your friends. So with that having been said, Jay, remind everybody one more time what the social media contacts we have are and where else we have our little homes set up on the internet.
You know it, Dennis. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. And I know on behalf of Dennis as well, to those that have shared out the show and that continue to join us because we do continue to grow. It's just such a great feeling when we open up Instagram or some of our other social network outlets and we see those numbers growing. So continue to share out on Instagram, Facebook, and X on podcast at Podcast Stardust. And then you can also find us in a lot of other places. So we have some Pinterest boards over on that app. And then we also have 2 different YouTube outlets. So we have the regular YouTube as well as the YouTube music channel as well. And so head over to both of those, like, subscribe, and share those out. And I just saw that if we get up to 100,000, we get a plaque, Dennis.
Woohoo.
So yeah, we need 100,000 subs to do that. So share it out, people. We love it. And then we also have our Discord room. So if you're up for some real-time chatter, Dennis was just mentioning all the different RetroZap shows that are on the RetroZap Discord room as well, or network, I should say. So you can hit up the link in our show notes for that if you'd like to join us. And then if you're in need of some new swag, we do have a TeePublic store with 7 different show logo designs available on all kinds of things from home goods and apparel and everything in between. And then we are still continuing our partnership with Saber Masters. So if you are in need of a battle-ready lightsaber or 2, you can head over to sabermasters.com or hit up the link in our show notes. And if you do happen to get something, make sure that you add in the code STARDUST at checkout, and that will earn you an extra $10 off of your purchase. And it also helps to support the show.
All right, Jay, you want to remind everybody what you got going on in the world of cosplay?
Oh, absolutely. So as I was just mentioning earlier, I will be at the Cleveland Gaming Classic in September here, just coming up next week from the 20th to the 22nd, and that will be at the IX Center up in Cleveland, and I will have a table up there, and I will be featured as a cosplay guest, so I'm really excited about returning for the 2nd year. And then I also have a couple of other things in the works for October, and I just posted an unboxing video featuring a new product that I will be talking about in the next World Between Worlds, and that'll be coming up here in another couple of weeks as well. So you can check out everything that I'm up to with all of my cosplay at j.snipscosplay on Instagram.
All right. So upcoming on the show on Monday, we are continuing our Clone Wars rewatch, and we are up to episode 5 of season 1 on that. So check that out. And then on Wednesday, we are going back to 2015 to look at the Princess Leia miniseries that Marvel put out. And that's going to be a fun episode. So make sure you join us for that. All right. Well, thanks for listening to episode 778 of Podcast Stardust, everyone. Have a great weekend. And until next time, may the Force be with you.